Thomas, we can't hear you. I don't know. There we go.
Hi, everyone. Could you hear me now?
Thank you. Yeah, perfect.
Sorry,
Yeah,
you're good.
yeah.
I'm going to start again. Thanks for joining us. My name is Thomas Johnson. I'm the Curator of Performance and Moving Image at Dunlop Art Gallery and RPL Film Theatre. I'd like to acknowledge that I'm coming to you from Oksana Kasatake, also known as Regina, located on Treaty 4 territory, the traditional territory of the Naheilak, Saulteaux, Lakota, Dakota, Nakota, and the homeland of the Métis. And tonight, it's my pleasure to introduce Sorry Not Sorry, which is a 3-part program in partnership with CJTR Community Radio and featuring the hosts of Spoiler Alert, Wednesday, which is on CJTR Wednesdays at 6 p.m. and rebroadcasts on Thursdays at noon. And I'll include the link in our discussion here. So starting tonight and through June and July, we'll be attempting to redeem supposedly irredeemable films. During this discussion, you can please include your comments and questions to the right, and we'll address those at the end. And now I'd like to welcome our hosts, Geremy Lague, Sonia Stanger, and Sean Dunham for this month's installment on Clue. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you.
So like Thomas said, I'm Sean. We've got Jeremy, we've got Sonia. We collectively host a radio show and a podcast for movie and television lovers. And I'm excited to do the RPL has graciously allowed us to host this epic trilogy called Sorry Not Sorry. And we're bringing up a few things like epic flops in which we introduce and discuss the films. But a flop is mostly decided by things like a critic or like money. And we attempt to prove that these films are treated unfairly and have stood the test of time. Before we intro the movie that I picked, I didn't want to do this live, but I feel like I need to talk to you guys because just the last time we spoke, we had said like we would all sort of be in costume, and I sort of thought that I put together a costume, and
Sean, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the conversation was, and Sonia, like, back me up here, it would be fun if we dressed up. Is what you said. Like it would be fun, and I don't think that like initiated the dress up. I thought you said like, oh, in an imaginary universe, it would be fun.
Right, a hypothetical.
Right.
Is what I heard.
Yeah.
I misheard, or one of us misrepresented themselves. I'm not
just some cross wires.
I think so.
I think.
Anyway, so
you do look fabulous, Sean.
Yeah, you look amazing though.
Well, thank you. I've spent upwards of $2,800 getting it together. So, but I'm glad that I can look for a YouTube video.
It looks great.
Okay, let's get into tonight. I love this film, you guys. This is Clue. It's from 1985. It grossed $14.6 million, in which in 1985, not that great. It was massacred by critics, which we'll get to. Some of the critics had very funny things to say about it, and had a very bizarre marketing gimmick that completely backfired. And it got its writer, Jonathan Lynn, blackballed in Hollywood for years. And we have to repeat that it's based on a board game. But I'm here to say that Clue it's incredible. First of all, this cast, they're not up-and-comers. They're not plucky noobs. They are seasoned professionals that are working at the top of their game. The quality of the one-liners and the jokes, the solid joke writing in this film is airplane level, in my opinion. Is it a perfect film? No. Is there a extremely long scene where Tim Curry just recaps the entire thing that we've just seen? Yes, there is. Are there 2 people of color who were killed moments after meeting them? Yes, of course. Is boobs the only character trait of Yvette? Yes, definitely. But despite this, I think we have a great case that Clue has proven itself through the test of time. Or the other option is that it was a very inexpensive movie that cable programmers can throw in any time slot. And it gave us all Stockholm Syndrome because we watched it so many times. But we'll let the audience decide. And also, please write in comments, and we will get to them definitely throughout the show. So anyway, how do we play this dang old board game called Clue anyway?
Well, Sean, I'm so glad you asked. And before I answer that question, I'm just going to take this time and say, everyone, this movie's confusing. Okay, there's a
Mhm.
lot of moving parts. There's a cast the size of which could rival a Martin Scorsese film. There's multiple locations, multiple weapons, multiple victims, and multiple endings. Luckily for you, I have devised a method of ensuring that I know where everyone and everything is at all times and all moments of the film. You
Okay.
too can do this for only $12 and then another $56 in tape. And then you can watch the film with no concern about what's going on or getting confused. Let's just pop over here for a moment, if we will.
We
Okay.
will.
Multimedia,
Yeah.
multicam.
Thank you. So, utilizing a pre-existing board game, I don't know what it's called. I've created a model of Hill House that can be used to ensure I am in full understanding of the film's events. But before we begin, we need a bit of background and just a few modifications. So, firstly, the game of Clue is played with 2 to 6 players, ages 8 and above. And guys, it's about murder, right? You know that? Everyone knows?
Oh yeah, there's murder.
Okay. Yeah,
I've heard.
So the game contains a game board, 6 character tokens, 6 miniature weapons. Just a note, these are not for conventional use. 30 game cards, a case file envelope, and a pad of notebook sheets. And of course, two 6-sided dice. The cards for the game, which I've modified, I'll get into in a moment, represent the characters' weapons and places. We have 3, Professor Plum, Dr. Orchid, a new addition to the game, Colonel Mustard, Miss Scarlett, and Miss Peacock. The weapons are a revolver, lead pipe, dagger, wrench, candlestick, and rope. The locations are billiard room, bathroom, dining room, lounge, conservatory, ballroom, kitchen, study, and of course, the library. The goal of the game is to learn who done it. For setup, each person takes a character. For setup, you take one of the character, weapon, and location cards, and insert them randomly into the Mr. Body envelope. And the remaining cards are shuffled into and dealt to the players until there's none left. Newer versions of the game contain these clue cards, which I think are dumb. So
What is that?
feel free to discard. It doesn't matter, Sean.
Okay.
Player pawns are placed in their starting locations, weapons in random rooms, and the game may begin. Miss Scarlett always goes first. As I said, the goal of the game is to learn the killer of Mr. Body by inferring who may have done it, posing that question to the group, and in a clockwise motion, other players revealing if they have one of the cards in the proposed scenario. Players should keep a record of who holds what cards on the supplied note paper, and they must roll the 2-sided dice to encounter any room in the house. Players should note that there are 2 secret passages on the board, one taking you from the study to the kitchen, and the other taking you from the lounge to the conservatory. Pawns may not move diagonally.
Yeah.
That's
Let it be known.
My brother and I.
that.
Oh my god. But for our use, watch this movie. Some modifications are required. First and foremost, 2 name retrofits are needed. So I have gone ahead and changed the bathroom to the hall to make sure that that's now accurate.
Did they think that having a bathroom was gross?
Maybe.
And killing someone in a bathroom is gross?
maybe I don't know. Maybe that's the perfect place. I don't know. But keep in mind, we also have to retrofit the actual card corresponding to that one. Secondly, Mrs. White is no longer present, so for our purposes, Dr. Orchid will have to be changed so that we can alter it.
I find that quite offensive, as I'm literally dressed as Mrs. White. But
this is fair.
I also, to me, Orchid doesn't bring white to mind.
I don't
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she could be Mrs. Eggshell.
Yeah.
I think they took it in a different direction. I think they said
did.
women of color in STEM, and then they needed a color.
I think that's true.
Okay.
There are several other characters in the film who require representation. So I've used these extra disposable clue cards to represent them, which should work pretty well because a lot of them spend their time sort of dead and flat. So that should work out well for me. Here we go. Okay. Finally, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I use just a pinch of tape to ensure that I understand where things are and how things flow, so I don't get confused. Things are easily readable for me, and these hallways don't mess me up. And there we have it, you guys, an easy to use method of fully understanding how this is supposed to go down. So I'm just going to provide an example of how I like to watch Clue. So in the scene where the cook dies, everyone has gone to the study with a vet to find out. Mr. Body is in there as well, so we'll just get that. Once they arrive in the kitchen, they, however, find out that Yvette has been killed with the dagger, or the cook has been killed with the dagger, and Yvette is not with them. Then, when everybody gets brought back to the study, it's revealed that Mr. Body's body is gone. But we later find out that Mrs. Peacock finds Mr. Body with the candlestick that then lands on Wadsworth's head when they all arrive. So you see, this is totally understandable. The Clue is only a 96-minute film, but using my method, you'll be able to do it in just a little over 4 hours. I also like to keep this card that I made around, but it's just a red herring.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And that's how I like to watch Clue.
That looks like a large herring, but
and yeah, and this method, make it your own. Do whatever you need to, so you can not get confused when you're watching Clue.
Thank you, Jared. That was
confusing.
Super not confusing at all.
Very clear, concise. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and now we are going to move into talking about the whodunit of it all. We'll discuss the incredible cast, what they brought to the role, and how different actors might have changed the film. Many thanks to journalist Adam B. Very, who conducted these interviews. So we'll start with Wadsworth, the butler. So the first choice to play Wadsworth was Leonard Rossiter, a British comedic actor. One of the writers was working with him on the play Loot and thought he would be perfect. Loves a one name title, apparently. He drops dead during Act 1 of the play. So then they tried to cast Rowan Atkinson, who was making a name for himself as a physical comedian. The studio was not into him, which I'm sure they regret in hindsight. But Jonathan Lynn, the writer, reached out to a boy he went to boarding school with who was very theatrical, Tim Curry.
And that boy was Tim Curry. Rowan Atkinson could have done great, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Would he have spoken? Like, would it have been Mr. Bean Does Clue?
Jeremy, you might be thinking of one specific character of Rowan Atkinson.
I know, but like, could I not see that? I don't know. That's watching it in hindsight, of course. But who else could play Wadsworth? Like, who? Could
I know Tim Curry does so good in this. I was reading that he basically went on like blood pressure medication after like the recap scene because he was just operating at like such a high level.
Mm-hmm. And I do think Rowan Atkinson could have done some of the comedy, but I don't think it would have had the same camp of it all, which is just like so much of what Tim Curry brings.
I think
because Tim Curry just has an inherent evilness, and you kind of are like, did the butler do it?
He's sinister.
He's very sinister.
He is.
Okay, so then next we have Miss Scarlett. So for this saucy role, Jonathan Lynn landed the biggest star of the cast, Carrie Fisher. A week before shooting, they got the call, unfortunately, that Carrie was in rehab. As Lynn said, I didn't know then that everyone in Hollywood was snorting cocaine. I was really naive. When I met her at a restaurant, she had actually fallen over a chair, but I thought she was just short-sighted or something. She sniffed a lot, and she said she had hay fever, which, of course, I believed. Then they called Leslie Ann Warren, who was on vacation with her family. Until 1 week ago, Jeremy thought that this role was played by Susan Sarandon.
In fact, I feel like you still think it's Susan Sarandon.
I think, you guys, like, it's an amazing performance. She did an incredible job. It's so fun. I think the heart just wants what it wants, and I think it. I think my brain is just sort of maybe perhaps when I watch Clue, I'm sort of in a a hypnotic state or something. I don't know.
But Leslie Ann Warren is a great actress in her own right, and she does. I think 4 of the top of the 8 actors in this are Academy Award nominated actresses, and she got one for Victor Victoria. And I sent you guys a clip of her doing an incredible musical act called The Windy City. Yeah, she's so good. Although, do I love this Carrie Fisher story a lot? Yes. Imagine her toppling over a chair and him being like, wow, she must need glasses.
Yeah, that's the conclusion that one comes to. Glasses and hay fever.
That's what it is.
And then the rest of the cast was his first choice. So Mrs. Peacock. This was the first project for Eileen Brennan after she came off a 6-week stint at the Betty Ford Clinic for her addiction to painkillers after she was in a brutal car accident. So that's a fun fact.
Noticing a theme.
Christopher Lloyd says she was working very hard to get back on her feet and be able to work again. Not that it showed in her performance at all, but I could see the effort it took for her to get up and do what she was doing. I thought she was absolutely marvelous. She is incredible in this, wound so tight and exploding often. Her delivery is incredible. Our lives are in danger, you beatnik. I didn't do that justice at all.
That's my favorite line of hers.
Yeah, and she is truly so good. She, her sort of consistent chattering, especially when they're first all together, is really something to behold. And as someone who's a nervous talker, I get it.
Just her vocalizations when she's like screams, she's always just like ah.
She may do the best poison freak out in cinema when she believes that she's the and it's in a really great moment where sort of she's the only one who realized what kind of may have happened and everyone else is still worried about other dead people, but it's fine. But yeah, it's just such a good performance, and
then they just watch her waiting to see if she'll die.
That's how you handle that situation, Sean. That's what you do.
What else are you gonna do?
I don't know.
All right, so then of course we have Professor Plum. So Christopher Lloyd's most famous role of Doc Brown had yet to hit theaters, but Lynn said his only criteria was that he simply made him laugh when he read for the role. Which is funny because it's not a particularly funny role.
He must have read someone else's role.
Yeah, he was very intimidated by the cast and hoped he could simply blend in. Personally, I much prefer him as the eccentric scientist to this role of the disgraced lecherous shrink. And that's just me.
It's not a great look for the professor.
It's not, and I think it's one of those things where you just have an attachment to an actor because of some of their previous roles, and then you see them in a very different role, and it's like, I don't love it. I don't love this.
Yeah, like if Doc Brown's up here, this character's sort of down here, and there's this I don't know, we'll call it the Clue gap for now, but I'm trying to think of any other Christopher Lloyd performance right now, and I think that's the problem, because I can't.
That is the problem.
I think that's the problem.
Okay, so then we will go on to Mr. Green. This accident-prone gentleman is played by Michael McKean, who's, of course, from This Is Spinal Tap and countless other Christopher Guest movies. Every other character in this film is being blackmailed because they've committed murder, sexual assault, human trafficking, war profiteering, and more. And Mr. Green's crime is simply that he's gay. So that's something.
When is this supposedly set? The 50s? There's some.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe he is trying to keep it under his hat, but I feel like he could just leave. It's not the most explosive secret.
Yeah. I mean, he does say he will lose his job with the Secret Service, CIA, something like that.
But, you can always find new jobs.
That's true.
I'm just kidding.
In that economy?
But Michael McKean is so good in this. I didn't even really recognize him. We just watched him recently in not a Christopher Guest show, but a mockumentary show. So basically all Christopher Guest. And he's so funny in Best in Show. He's just great. Where he also played a gay character also.
But he does have these really great moments where I think he kind of commands the performance, where he goes from like the sniveling character to the, spoiler alert, authoritative character, and it's so hard not to give away movies when you're talking about them because we've done it for so long. But he really just changes that character in such a dramatic and big way, and it's really fun. And then he's got the last line of the film, which really like drives home the whole thing. So,
I'm going home to my wife. Yeah.
That's what I meant, Sean. Yeah, that's what I meant.
That was a great delivery.
He's so good. He's so physical in this. They're just like, they toss him from like post to pillar in this.
Yeah. Okay, and then we have Colonel Mustard. So Martin Mull has mostly made his career as a TV character actor, with recurring roles on Roseanne, The Ellen Show, the sitcom, obviously. He's not the person wearing the masks who comes out and scares people on the current Ellen Show. Yeah. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and of course his iconic performance as Gene Parmesan on Arrested Development.
Oh,
he got me again.
Gene! I did not know that was him.
He does it every time.
I will admit to everyone, I'm not shy to say that I had no idea who this man was.
I think that's the mark of a great character actor.
I think so.
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
He disappears.
He does, absolutely knock it out of the park. Especially, in something as subtle as a chandelier falling behind him, it still makes me laugh. And I don't know why.
He's a very funny man.
Yeah, it's not a huge feat, but I laugh. I've seen this movie. I don't know. I've seen this movie a lot, and it still makes me laugh every time.
That's an endorsement. Then, of course, we have the iconic Mrs. White. When Madeline Kahn expressed interest, they wrote her a ton more material. They also expressed no improvising, which for a genius like her is unthinkable and frankly a travesty. He did allow one piece of improv dialogue in, the infamous Flames speech. This is literally the moment you remember from the film. If you're Sean, who wrote this.
Yeah.
She finds moments of improv that are purely physical and not necessary to follow the script, especially during the searching the mansion scene. And making the decision to sing harmony when they sing for She's a Jolly Good Fellow to Mrs. Peacock. Sean just loves her.
I really do. What a quirky weirdo to just like make that choice for Mrs. White. I think one of my other favorite lines of hers is when they're searching the mansion and she's like in a dark room and she's like, "Are you here? 'Cause I'm coming."
She is truly iconic in this movie, and the whole like innocent thing that she's doing to try and convince everyone she's not a husband murderer is it really just does it for me, and she's perfect for this role.
Yeah, I think the best line in the kitchen is always, "How many marriages have you wrecked? Mine or others?" Just like not even like no problem answering, not even skipping a beat.
It's like, what information do you want to know?
Yeah, the best timing that has ever come up. So good. Strictly
info. Okay, and then of course we have Yvette, the requisite maid character. Colleen Camp was against many actresses who wanted this role, including Jennifer Jason Leigh. Is it Demi Moore or Demi Moore?
I go with what's in your heart.
It's Demi Moore.
Demi Moore. Demi Moore. And Madonna. Perhaps you've heard of her. She went to her audition in a rented French maid costume. The accent was bad, but the bosom was correct. Oh. I think we can all agree.
Yeah,
she was playing dueling bosoms with Miss Scarlett. Mm-hmm. But I also was reading. The writer was like, somebody asked, like, was that requisite for her to play? And he's like, I don't even remember that she like had a voluptuous bosom. And it was like, you are a liar.
Like that is 99% of the jokes for the first 10 minutes of the movie.
It's like literally everyone walks in a room and just is like, "Awooga."
And I mean, you can't really blame them. They're just right there.
Yeah.
You know what? This is getting into dicey territory. I take back what I just said.
Wow, Sonia, it's weird that you said that.
Yeah, I basically just said she was asking for it. So I take that back. Viewers, that's not correct. Don't do what I do.
That's only Sonia's opinion.
That's my
This does not
opinion.
reflect what the RPL or what Spoiler Alert thinks.
It doesn't reflect what I think, but I said it.
There we go.
Would you both humor me and try and do your best impression of Yvette's terrible French accent? Would you do that?
Kia?
I gotta.
What Kia?
Oh my God, Sean, that was so good. I don't even know if I can. After Sean's, I don't even know. Give me a line. Give me a line. Give me a line. I'll say it. Give me a line. Any line she says.
Okay. Do you have can I ask where the little girl's room is?
Can I? No, I can't do it. I can't. No, I can't undo the French. It's gonna
Zut alors, Geremy, you cannot do this accent.
Oh my God,
that was honestly
so much
better than hers.
That was so much better. Oh my God.
Okay, well, I'm sorry to have put you through that.
Listen, I don't think the budget hired her a speech coach, so she was just doing this on the fly.
Yeah, she offered up a perfectly acceptable European accent. Like I think that's
debatable. But
she established that she was not American. I
think in the film it's actually like she's putting on that accent, so maybe that's part of the bit. Anything else to say about Colleen Camp?
God, you blew my mind with that last little bit there, though. God.
Really threw you.
I'm gonna have to alter my game board.
Okay. Shall we move on to Mr. Body?
Oh, do we have to?
Must we? We must. The only time Lynn compromised on casting was when they wanted Lee Ving, who was the front man for, and I love the way Sean wrote this, punk rock band Fear.
Well,
Sean is very punk. I'm very punk. That's why it sounds so cool when we say punk rock.
Look how punk I am.
Exactly.
He's a frontman for a punk rock band.
This is a great question. Was it all literally for the line that Mr. Body will be leaving soon?
Like literally? I think so. Because he brought, like, no offense to Mr. Ving, first name Lee, but he sucked so much.
He did. And you know what I think? I think we can all agree that pun was not worth it, and they would have been better off leaving the acting to the professionals.
Oh.
That was obviously on the fly. I did not write that.
Yeah.
But Ving was not the only music connection. Oh, sorry. We can still talk about Lee Ving.
There is not much to talk about. Like, he just is like, what are these people doing here?
Yeah,
like in that room of those actors, it just really is like a sore thumb.
And I think that it sort of speaks like when your best acting is when you're a corpse, or in a very quick flashback. Like I think, like let's call it what it is. But he is to be the man in the envelope, right? That's all he is. So.
Wow. It was a mercifully short role. But yeah, it was actually my first time seeing this movie, preparing for the show. And when he came on screen, I was like, what? I feel that I've misperceived this whole film. What is happening? Who is this man? And why doesn't he know how to act?
This man better not stick around that long.
Exactly.
He was on set for one day. So
yeah.
Speaking of a mercifully short role.
Speaking of, he was not the only music connection. Jane Weedlin of the Go-Go's had a single line as the singing telegram girl. Not even really a full line.
No, she sings half a line, then she gets
popped. Spoiler alert.
She took a break from playing the rhythm guitar for the Go-Go's and put on a little sing a telegram outfit.
Well, you guys,
and it was cute.
Sometimes you need the cash, right? That's what it is.
She did a great job singing that half line.
She nailed it. Yeah, no. She did better than Mr. Body, I'll tell you that much.
And that's whodunit, y'all.
Thank you for that, Sonia. Now we should move into a little section. We can drink a piping hot glass of Haterade. This is the Critics Strike Back. This is a bunch of a lot of movie critics had a lot to say about this. They hated that ending. Everyone had said something about it. But we've assembled a bunch of our favorite, I think. But yeah, I also want to say that I don't know if people know this. We didn't even explain it really, but the film had 3 different endings. It was filmed with 3 different endings that all technically would work, and that each theater would have play a different ending. And so then they thought marketing wise that you'll go back to the theater several times to see every ending, but nobody did that because there was no guarantee that you would not just see the same one again. And there's also no way to find out which ending was which. And Roger Ebert was very confused by that. And he actually suggested, why don't they just put all the endings on the same, in one go? And they were like, that's a great idea. And that's the version that you can see today.
Yes.
Because it would have driven me crazy, especially because some of the flame speech, that's only in one of the endings. You would miss it.
Exactly.
That's wild to me.
And in a pre-internet era, it's not like you could just look it up and see what the other ones were. And also, if you went back again, you would then have to listen to Tim Curry recap the whole movie again.
Which is, love Tim Curry, love this film.
That's a small price to pay.
It's the worst sequence in the world. Okay,
shall I kick us off?
Sonia, let us hear.
All right, here's my dramatic reading. Who done it to Clue? Was it Colonel Landis in the story conference with a plotting structure? Or Professor Lynn in his writing room with his sodden wit? Or Mr. Goober and Mr. Peters in the executive suite with a high concept? Right. My own guess is that cinematographer Victor Kemper did it on the set with the camera, which in his hands has always been a blunt instrument. The framing is slapdash and haphazard, and it's hard to remember a movie so badly lit. The image is either blasted out with hard white light or so dim it might have been shot through coffee grounds.
Whoa.
That scathing and very beautifully formatted review was from Paul Atanzio at the Washington Post.
He was not having it
that
day.
Our next bit of haterade comes from the LA Times. It's not the least bit scary or suspenseful, but instead quickly grows tedious. The more you struggle to keep track of the constantly multiplying plot developments, the harder it gets to care who did it. There's a laugh here, a laugh there, but without that 3-ply finish, Clue really doesn't have much going for it. That's Kevin Thomas from the LA Times.
And also, the phrase 3-ply finish really evokes poop. That's poop. That's rude. So this is from Miss Janet Maslin from the New York Times. She says, there is so little genuine wit to be found in Clue, and though it takes only 87 minutes to arrive at one of its 3 different solutions, it has long since worn out its welcome by the denouement. Oof.
That's tough. TV Guide said simply, easily one of the most gimmicky films of all time. I would argue that it doesn't suggest otherwise.
Well, and then has TV Guide seen Avatar yet?
Exactly. I would guess not, given that it wouldn't come out for another 20 years. The murder. This is from the Chicago Reader. The murder mystery board game becomes a frantic, unfunny spoof. But instead of parodying the material, there was a comma there. Instead of parodying the material, Lynn simply surrounds it with extraneous pratfalls and wisecracks. Dave Kerr didn't care about those wisecracks.
Dave Kerr said, I don't
care.
Sadly, however, the characters are less credible than their plastic counterparts, and the humor is dispiriting. That was Trevor Johnston from Time Out. I don't even know what Time Out is, Trevor. God.
Defunct.
Of course, Roger Ebert's words are short and to the point. With Clue, one ending is more than enough. And fun, I must say, is in short supply.
Roger,
that's harsh.
This one is not an official one, but I really wanted to read it. It's from Common Sense Media, and it's a website where parents just go on there and they're like, is this movie appropriate for my children to watch? And usually it's not. And this person said, from the very first scene, misspelled, the movie shows its tone and sexually charged, dark, perverse, raunchy, ugly character. Obviously, there's no question that this film is not for children. That should be rated R or something like PG-16 at least. The movie is filled with sexual. Sure, if it's dark, disgusting. If anyone is truly conservative, they won't watch this movie, let alone have their kids watch this movie. The sexual content alone makes it a disgusting, vulgar, profane, sin and darkness-filled, unpleasant film.
Sin and darkness.
She said, "Not today for me either." Darkness filled. Maybe she was talking about the lighting. Maybe she agreed. So Jonathan Lynn was the writer of this, and he was basically unemployable in Hollywood after this, which is very sad. He was working on another picture, and then when Clue flopped, he was fired like a week into it. He moved back. He had to move back. Tail between his legs to Britain, and he eventually came back to LA 2 years later, and he was working on another TV series. And he went into a video store and saw just a shelf with 9 terrible movies and a sign saying, "Do you dare rent any of these?" And Clue was on it. And he wrote Nuns on the Run, which I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's very funny. And if he said he thinks that if he didn't have that 4 years later, he would have never made another movie. And then he also went on to direct My Cousin Vinny, and that got a lot of critical acclaim. Got Marissa Tomei an Oscar. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he really went through it after this. These critics they made an imprint.
But he got his retribution, like Marissa Tomei in that courtroom.
Yeah,
explaining how cars work.
Maybe that's what that was.
It's an impossible question.
Yeah, that was Jonathan Lynn talking about trying to explain why he made it.
Yeah, talking to the critics. Okay, you guys, let's get into the defense. This is sort of a last thoughts to really drive home. The critics were wrong.
I've always really loved Clue. It's always been so fun and so interesting to me. It's hard for me to conceive of any other version of it without the 3 endings, because I feel like referencing a board game, it makes no sense. I remember my mom told me, she was like, "Oh, it's really good. It's based off the board game Clue," and I was like, "That's wrong. Like that's like I'm 10 years old and you're incorrect.
You're so rude to your mother."
Well, that's not what I said, but Anyway, then we watched Clue on TBS, and it was great. It may have been with Dinner and a Movie, which we've talked about a few times on our show, but I think the thing that always just draws me in so much, and the thing that's amazing about the film, is that they have these characters that are very nothing for the game, right? Like it's just associated with a color, give them a fun name that fits, and you play the game, right? Like it's not a, but from that they, grew so much more, and now when I play Clue, I'm playing the movie Clue, right? Like that's the, I remember checking our Clue board to see if there was a Wadsworth and not understanding why. I think the way it has impacted the thing it was trying to reflect is just so fun and crazy. And that's one of the best things about the whole thing.
Hasbro deserves to cut a check to Jonathan Lynn.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure it had to go the other way around.
I'll bet you're right, but if the world was perfect.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I hadn't seen this movie before watching it for this show, which it's something that I always meant to watch, but it just didn't happen. And honestly, from the jump, I was like, okay, I love this. Like the physical comedy, the madcap of it all, the cast is amazing. The like quick dialogue. It actually reminds me of like a play, the way like all the kind of toing and froing and
I think it might be a play now.
It makes sense.
If anyone was smart, they would definitely do that.
Well, TM. We're gonna do it.
And on Tech Avail. So
give it a Google.
Look it up. But yeah, like the wordplay, the quick dialogue, it just makes me happy. As soon as I heard the line where Mrs. Peacock asks Yvette to show her to the bathroom, and then Yvette says, "Oui, oui, madame," and then Mrs. P says, "No, I just need to powder my nose," and I was like, "You made a wee wee joke. I am in. I'm
It's
in."
underrated and it's so funny.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love this movie. Even just like when I rewatched it this week, from the opening scene, that's just like dark, stormy night. The music is playing. I am like put immediately at ease from the jump. It just brings up that sort of prickle of excitement. I love like an Agatha Christie, like we 10 people are stuck on an island and we're all slowly dying. This sounds dark, but I love that type of story. And you literally cannot argue with the jokes and the one-liners in this. They're so good.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah. Can I ask you guys a question you're also unprepared for? Is it time for the redo?
Oh, no. Oh, Geremy, that'd be terrible.
I think it would be.
Isn't that kind of what Knives Out was?
Yeah, but I mean, that's just sort of another movie in the same type of movies. It's not a remake of Clue. I'll Google it really quick.
No, I don't think it's a remake, but I think there was a lot of referencing, and
they'd be like introducing Rita Ora as Yvette. We've got Blake Lively as Miss Scarlett.
It would be Rita Ora, and I love it.
Sean, there is an article about it that it might be with Ryan Reynolds involved. Just so you know.
I was gonna say it's like Chris Pine, Chris Pratt.
Evans.
They all just play all the Chris's just play
all the Chris's. Anyway, that was me just taking us off on a quick tangent from what.
No, I think that would really destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I apologize to those comedic actors. I'm sure they do a great job, but I don't think they would do a great job. Sorry.
Not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Had to say it.
You guys, this film, very full of madcap sequences, which I love. Kind of just strung together, honestly. But which one do you find is the worst, and why is it when Wadsworth recaps the whole film?
It's that one.
It makes it's only a 90-minute film. Why is it necessary to do that?
I like the recap. I don't know.
I don't know why I become so overwhelmed and like tired at that point. I'm like, this is going to take another 15 minutes.
It's literally half an hour long. Yeah. I looked today with the 3 endings. But can I be honest with you guys for a second?
Yes. Yeah.
Just between the 3 of us with no one else listening.
Yeah, it's just us in a Zoom call here.
I still don't understand. I still don't know who did it. I still don't understand how it happened. I stopped paying attention actually when Tim Curry starts doing his recaps. Like my brain just goes, nope, sorry. It's the same actually as when someone's trying to teach me to play a board game. The exact same thing happens.
Oh yeah, okay.
Well, I do feel that the third ending is the true ending, and that the other ones are just there for comedic effect. I don't whether or not you guys agree with that. That's okay, but I will just push your reality away and substitute.
But it's a reality of the Clue game where it's like literally anyone could do it and it all makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which one's the third ending?
That's where different people murder other people for different reasons. And then
also there is flagrant conjecture that there was a fourth that they'd filmed a fourth one. I think that it was that Wadsworth did it, and it involved the dogs. Because remember at the beginning, there's that dog scene, and then the dogs never come back, really.
Yeah.
And everyone's sniffing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Or
no, I don't.
Do you just think I'm talking about Carrie Fisher?
I was like, is this a rude Carrie Fisher thing?
No. So when I first started watching the movie, I was like, I'm going to pay such close attention. I'm going to figure it out. That's not what happened. But at the very beginning, when Tim Curry comes in, I think he steps in dog poop, and then he wipes his shoe. And then as they're all arriving, everyone's like sniffing. And I was like, this is a clue.
It's a clue.
It never comes back up.
No, it doesn't. But I think
it on the board.
In the fourth one, maybe that would have come back up because there was a fourth one, but they apparently were like the other three are strong, and this one kind of was like bleh. So
interesting.
They kind of, but I wish they would add that to YouTube because I'd be interested.
When I did pick the movie apart to see if the things that they said were true, they are all true, which is surprising because I think your brain just sort of fills in people who aren't there or aren't there, like in particular little bits, which is really, sort of an interesting thing that happens. But it does all work. It does all jive into this like hodgepodge of people missing at just the precisely correct time to do one quick thing. Secret passages really seem to help quite a bit. Yeah. If I think spoiler alert could recommend that you maybe really reconsider either putting a secret passage into your home or telling other people about it.
I think that's the key.
Yeah. I think that is the first step to a murder house.
Especially if you're blackmailing them.
Again,
don't tell them where the secret passages are.
Again, spoiler alert does not recommend blackmailing anyone.
Yeah, or murder for that matter.
But murder, none of this.
Yeah.
Maybe a little. This is a treat.
Sonia's canceling herself today.
Yeah, I'm trying to get canceled tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I asked what was the worst of the madcap sequence. The best is the searching the house sequence.
Yeah.
It begins with a very long and very dumb matching scene where each person just walks to and tries to see which one is matches to see who their partner is. And then just literally 15 minutes of them searching a house and skulking around. And that's like, I feel like that's where the most of their improv is concentrated, is them sort of skulking around, being scared. Because as we learned earlier, there's not room to do that in the script, which is too bad.
It is. Yeah, I wonder what that would have been like if they'd let them improv. Because
there's good improvers. We got Michael McKean in here. We got Madeline Kahn, who's incredible.
Right. Yeah, for me, it's the repeated gag of neither of them wants to go in front of the other one because they might be the murderer. So they're all just trying to squeeze through small spaces at the same time. And like they probably do that 17 times and it's great every time.
And it gets better every time.
Yeah.
Honestly, you guys, I think that recap is my favorite part of this movie. I it's just like it's the energy, the constant high of the whole thing. And I know it's exhausting. Have you played Clue?
Not in probably 20 years.
Because it's kind of exhausting.
Yeah.
I'll bet. How I feel that like it pulls like all of these different elements together, and it does capture that feeling when you do figure it out or think you figured it out, where you're like, this is how it you get so excited and amped up. Obviously no human being can do that for that amount of time. It's unhealthy. But watching it on the screen with Tim Curry, it gets me every time.
Tim Curry can.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Tim Curry can. Also, Geremy, it was very helpful when I watched your How to Play Clue because I realized a joke that I had missed, because during the film they always are saying they say ladies first a lot. They're like ladies first, and then you said Miss Scarlett goes first every time.
Always goes first. Yep.
Ladies first.
Ladies first.
Wow.
That is actually something I like about the movie, that they incorporate a few of those moments of reference to the game. Wadsworth opening an envelope that says open after dinner and things like that. Yes, is it gimmicky? Yes, it is. And I like it.
I'm a fan of a gimmick.
Same.
All right. I guess we're into basically final thoughts. What do you think, you guys? Did we save this film? Did we prove that it is not the flop?
I think we did. And if anyone from the audience has any questions, comments, or thoughts, please do share them with us, because we'd love to know your thoughts.
Yeah, and I think everyone can leave here today knowing that they have the tools and the things required, and quite frankly, the tape needed to understand what's going on and feel safe moving through the entire thing. Also, the RPL has Clue available to watch on one of their streaming services. So thank you. It's free.
That's how
and
we
accessible. Yeah.
Oh, look, it's right below.
The link below.
So
click link below.
Yeah, please feel free to watch Clue after our sort of intro here. We gave some stuff away, but I think your enjoyment will be heightened by it. We do have a question. What board game would you want to make into a movie?
Wow. Thank you, teachers.
What board game would I like to make into a movie?
Like, I feel like a sort of harrowing, like, horror movie could be. Remember, Don't Wake Daddy?
No.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Sonia, you might not remember this. You might be a tad young. It's basically a board game where you and a friend are sneaking around the board, and Dad is like lying down, and he's on sort of a timer. And then if you are, I don't even remember the plot really, but if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, he pops up and you've woken up Daddy. And not only it sounds actually terrifying. I don't know what Daddy's gonna do once he finds you, but anyway, so I feel like that could be a very, very terrifying horror movie.
Could be an allegory for the violence of the patriarchy or something, right?
Yeah.
Well, to answer the question, I have two answers because that's me. In terms of like visuals and stuff, there is a very interesting game out called Root, which is very complicated and only for the biggest nerds. But Root? It's about but it's about like mice and raccoons and birds, and it's this kind of crazy red wall thing. So that would be sweet. But from a purely mechanical perspective, I think that they should remake the film Battleship with Liam Neeson and, likely another actor, probably actress of his stature, perhaps Susan Sarandon, where they just play Battleship. Like it's just those two. It's just those two playing Battleship.
It's like a before midnight sort of thing where the conversation throughout the board game is really crackly, and maybe they're going through a divorce, perhaps, and it's their last board game.
Maybe.
I'm gonna say, for my choice, I'm gonna choose Risk, and it's about a group of friends going through crisis, and of course, some friendships could end by the end of the night when you're playing Risk.
You guys might not know, but when I was like 18, my friend wrote a play called Risk, and it was about friends playing a game of Risk, but also each person was a game piece. They dressed as a game piece. And allegiances changed.
We love a high concept.
I don't remember much about it. I'm sure as a play that a 20-year-old wrote, it was probably not great, but
rude.
We have another question. Who is our dream cast for Guess Who, the film adaptation? That's a large cast.
Yeah, that's what you call an ensemble cast.
Wow, we're going to be here for another 20 minutes just saying ensembles.
I think Denzel has to be involved. I'm not sure why. I think he kind of command like 3 people, and we could have 3 lesser characters because we have Denzel sort of in that whole thing.
I think we're trying to find people that are like very distinctive. Like
you could just be like, does your character have an amazing level of gravitas and a great range and could be good at anything?
Maybe.
Yeah. Like we need a Mickey Rourke or something. Like does your character have a ham scramble face or something?
But then you guys only get one flip down, right? You're trying to get as many, flip downs as you can as quickly as you can.
Right.
Like, do you pop in Tilda Swinton in there? I don't know. Right?
How do you describe her?
That's actually such a deep question.
Yeah.
Is your character otherworldly, ethereal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Click.
Does your character weirdly often get cast to play twins and she's both of them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I can only think of 2 instances, but still.
Yeah.
Or is she another race a lot?
Yeah.
But further to that, what is the circumstance we would have entered in where we have literal humans being eliminated from some sort of game? You know, like this
again,
is like
a horror movie. I think that it is a group of 50 people in a room, and then cruel overlord being like, "Does your person have glasses?" And then they just push those people down.
It's always people with glasses getting it hard.
But they'd have to be cloned first, so you wouldn't know what side of the board you're looking at.
Oh, right.
Right? Like, there's so many implications. Every character would be a dual role, right?
Oh my Eric, God. This question has spiraled us into madness, and I hope that you're happy. But also, thank you for asking a question.
Thank you for your questions.
Promise, we're going to need a fourth show. We're gonna need
we need more time.
The Guess Who show. We're going to need a fourth Guess Who show. Thanks, Eric. Any other questions? Ready?
That is
maybe we should give our final thoughts.
I feel like we've come to the end.
Mm-hmm.
That was very fun, you guys. I'm glad that we got to do this in person. I hope next month you guys will maybe throw on a costume. But
we'll talk about it.
We'll see. Okay, sure.
We'll talk.
Do we want to talk about next week?
We do. Next week we're going to
not next week. So sorry.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
We're used to a weekly format.
We are. Next week we're going to be discussing a 1990 romantic comedy film called Joe versus the Volcano, which I think quite a few more people haven't seen, but it stars Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan in our favorite dual role. And it's
what could go wrong?
Exciting. Yeah. Who knows what Jeremy's going to get on his desk for that one? Because I don't know. I don't know. I have plans, but that's fine. Anyway, join us next month for Joe versus the Volcano.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone. Yeah, I really appreciate this, and looking forward to Joe versus the Volcano. I've got a few opinions on that myself. And again, you can see the film and all the endings on Canopy, and also encourage you to come back and see this recording after you've seen the film, which will be on our YouTube page for RPL Film Theater. And see you all next month.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.